Hey Virgo, welcome back to the channel. I just sat down with my deck because the energy around you right now is absolutely something I need to talk about. The cards have been practically vibrating whenever I think about your sign. And honestly, I have this feeling that what I am about to share with you is going to shift something fundamental in how you see your path forward. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let me walk you through what the universe is revealing about your journey right now. Before I even shuffled the deck today, I could feel this anticipation building. You know that feeling when you just know something significant is brewing? That is exactly what is happening in your energy field right now. And I want to tell you from the start, this reading is not about small changes or minor adjustments. We're talking about life-altering shifts, the kind that make you look back years from now and realize, this was the moment everything transformed. The first card I pulled for you is the Nine of Pentacles. And honestly, Virgo, when this card came out, I actually paused for a moment because the message is so clear and so powerful. This card is showing me a version of you that has arrived at a place of genuine abundance and self-sufficiency. But here is what makes this so interesting. This is not abundance that someone handed to you or luck that just fell into your lap. This is the harvest of everything you have been cultivating. Sometimes in silence, sometimes while others doubted you. Sometimes when you yourself were not even sure if your efforts would pay off. The Nine of Pentacles speaks to me about this beautiful moment of recognition that is coming for you. I am seeing you standing in a garden that you planted with your own hands, metaphorically speaking, and suddenly realizing that every single flower blooming around you represents a choice you made, a discipline you maintained, a moment when you chose growth over comfort. This card is telling me that you are moving into a phase where the material world is going to start reflecting back to you the internal work you have been doing. What I find really fascinating about this Nine of Pentacles energy for you, specifically, is how it relates to independence. Virgo, you have likely spent considerable time making sure you could stand on your own 2 feet. Not because you do not value relationships or partnerships, but because you understand that true connection only happens when 2 whole people choose each other, not when 2 incomplete people need each other. The Nine of Pentacles is confirming that this philosophy you have been living by is about to pay off in ways that might actually surprise you. I am also getting this message about financial prosperity with this card. But it is not just about money in your bank account. It is about resource management, about having created systems in your life that work for you rather than against you. Maybe you have been organizing your finances, getting clear on your goals, cutting out waste and inefficiency. The Nine of Pentacles is saying all of that practical Virgo energy you have been applying is about to show you tangible results. We are talking about the kind of stability that lets you breathe easier, that lets you make choices based on what you want rather than what you need. There is also this element of refinement with the Nine of Pentacles that I cannot ignore. This card often shows up when someone has developed their taste, when they have learned to appreciate quality over quantity, when they have become discerning about what they allow into their space and their life. For you, Virgo, this suggests you are entering a phase where you are going to be very clear about your standards. And you know what? You should be. You have earned the right to be selective about where you invest your time, energy, and attention. The figure in the Nine of Pentacles is often depicted with a falcon, and this symbolism is really speaking to me for your situation. A falcon represents trained power, controlled strength, the ability to focus intensely and strike with precision when the moment is right. This tells me you have been training yourself, honing your skills, developing your abilities, and now you are reaching this point where you can deploy everything you have learned with remarkable effectiveness. The universe is basically saying you are ready, even if part of you still questions whether that is true. Moving forward to the second card, and this one made me smile when it appeared because it is the Four of Wands. Virgo, do you understand what this means? After all that work, after all that solo cultivation and self-development, the Four of Wands is bringing celebration into your life. This card is about foundations being complete, about reaching milestones worth acknowledging, about community and joy and the feeling of having built something stable enough to support your dreams. The Four of Wands is one of those cards that brings this energy of homecoming, of arrival, of finally being able to relax into the good things you have created. I am seeing gatherings in your future, celebrations that honor your achievements, moments where you are surrounded by people who genuinely appreciate who you are and what you have accomplished. And here is the thing that makes this even more special for Virgo energy. These celebrations are not going to feel frivolous or wasteful to you. They are going to feel earned, deserved, appropriate. This card is also speaking to me about stability in your home and family life. For some of you, this might literally mean a new home. a move to a better space, renovations that make your environment more aligned with who you are becoming. For others, this is more about the feeling of home, about creating or finding your tribe, about building relationships that have this quality of permanence and mutual support. The Four of Wands suggests that whatever instability you might have been dealing with in your living situation or your sense of belonging is resolving in a very positive way. What I find particularly beautiful about the Four of Wands appearing after the Nine of Pentacles is this message that your independence is not leading to isolation. Sometimes when we focus so much on becoming skittish, there can be this fear that we are closing ourselves off from connection. But the Four of Wands is saying no. Actually, your independence is creating the foundation for healthier, more authentic connections. You are attracting people who can celebrate with you rather than compete with you, who can appreciate your success rather than feel threatened by it. There is also this element of creative projects coming to fruition with the Four of Wands. If you have been working on something, building something, creating something that matters to you, this card suggests you are reaching a completion point, a moment where you can step back and actually appreciate what you have made. And Virgo, I know how hard it is for you to acknowledge your own accomplishments, sometimes because you are always seeing the next thing that needs improvement. But the Four of Wands is asking you to pause and actually take in the magnitude of what you have achieved. The third card that came through is Judgment. And Virgo, this is where the reading really starts to intensify because Judgment is not a subtle card. This is one of those major arcana cards that announces itself loudly and clearly. Judgment is about awakening, about hearing a call that you cannot ignore, about resurrection and renewal and the kind of transformation that changes everything. When I pulled this card for you, I got chills because the energy was so strong. Judgment is telling me that you are receiving or about to receive a calling. And I do not use that word lightly. This is not just about an opportunity or a possibility. This is about something that resonates so deeply with your soul that once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. Once you see this path, you cannot unsee it. This card suggests that clarity is coming to you. The kind of clarity that cuts through all the noise and confusion and shows you exactly what you are meant to do next. What makes Judgment so powerful in your reading is that it often represents a moment of accountability and truth. It is asking you to look honestly at where you are, who you have become, and what you are being called to do with the gifts and experiences you have accumulated. This is not about judgment in the critical sense, but rather about discernment and evaluation. The universe is basically saying, you have learned enough, you have grown enough, you have prepared enough. Now it is time to answer the call. I am also getting this message about past experiences suddenly making sense with the Judgment card. You know those things that happened to you that seemed random or difficult or unfair at the time? Judgment suggests you are moving into a phase where you are going to understand exactly why those things needed to happen, how they were actually preparing you for what is coming now. This card brings this beautiful sense of things coming full circle, of patterns completing, of understanding your own story in a much deeper way. The Judgment card is also speaking to me about forgiveness and release. There might be things you have been holding on to, grudges or regrets or resentments. And this card is saying it is time to let that energy go. Not because those people deserve your forgiveness necessarily, but because you deserve the freedom that comes from releasing that weight. Judgment invites you to rise above the past and move forward, unencumbered by old stories that no longer serve who you are becoming. There is this element of rebirth with Judgment that I find really exciting for your energy. It is like you are shedding an old skin, an old identity, an old way of being in the world, and stepping into something much more aligned with your truth. This might feel uncomfortable for a minute because transformation always does, but the discomfort is temporary and the liberation is permanent. The Judgment card is essentially saying your old life is calling you back, but your new life is calling you forward, and you get to choose which call you answer. Now we move to the fourth card, and this is the Chariot. And Virgo, the momentum building in this reading is incredible. The Chariot is about willpower, determination, victory through focused effort. After Judgment wakes you up and shows you your path, the Chariot is the energy that propels you forward on that path with unstoppable determination. This card is telling me you are entering a phase where you are going to be remarkably effective at manifesting your goals. The Chariot speaks to me about control, but not in a restrictive way. This is about harnessing different energies and directing them toward your desired outcome. You know how a chariot driver has to manage two horses, sometimes pulling in different directions. That is what you are learning to do with the different aspects of your life: the practical and the spiritual, the logical and the emotional, the cautious and the bold. The Chariot says you are mastering this balance, and it is going to result in significant forward movement. What I find really powerful about the Chariot in your reading is the message about self-discipline and commitment. Virgo, you already have these qualities naturally, but the Chariot is suggesting you are taking them to a new level. You are becoming someone who does not just know what needs to be done, but actually does it consistently, even when motivation wanes, even when obstacles appear. This card is about developing that warrior spirit that refuses to give up on what matters. The Chariot is also telling me about a journey, and this could be literal travel for some of you. But for most, this is about the journey toward your goals. What makes this journey special is that you are in the driver's seat. You are not a passenger in your own life anymore, waiting for things to happen to you. You are actively steering, making choices, taking control of your direction. The Chariot says you have the skills, the focus, and the determination to get where you want to go. There is also this message about victory and success with the Chariot, but it is earned victory, not lucky breaks. This card suggests you are going to achieve things through sheer force of will and persistent effort. And here's what I love about this for Virgo energy specifically. You do not mind the work, you actually respect the process. So the Chariot is saying your willingness to do what it takes is going to be the very thing that carries you to triumph. The fifth card is the Moon, and this is where the reading gets really interesting because the Moon brings in the realm of intuition, subconscious, and the unknown. After all this talk about control and determination, the Moon reminds us that there are forces beyond our rational understanding at work in our lives. This card is telling me that you need to pay attention to your dreams, your gut feelings, your intuitive hits, because they are trying to communicate something important to you. The Moon can sometimes bring confusion or uncertainty, and I am sensing that you might be in a phase where not everything is crystal clear, where you are having to navigate without a complete map. But here's what the Moon is really teaching you. Sometimes we have to move forward even when we cannot see the entire path lit up before us. Sometimes trust and intuition have to guide us through the foggy parts until clarity returns. This card is asking you to develop faith in your inner knowing. What I find fascinating about the Moon in your reading is how it relates to your subconscious patterns and hidden influences. Virgo, you are so analytical and conscious in your approach to life. But the Moon is reminding you that there are deeper currents running beneath the surface. There might be fears you have not acknowledged, desires you have not admitted, patterns you have not recognized. The Moon invites you to explore these hidden dimensions of yourself because they hold important information. The Moon is also speaking to me about illusion versus reality. There might be situations in your life right now where things are not quite as they appear. This card is asking you to look deeper, to question surface appearances, to trust your instincts when something feels off, even if you cannot logically explain why. At the same time, the Moon warns against letting fear and imagination run wild. There is a difference between healthy intuition and anxiety-driven catastrophizing, and this card is asking you to discern between the two. I'm also getting this message about creativity and imagination with the Moon. This card suggests that your creative powers are particularly strong right now, that you have access to deep wells of inspiration if you allow yourself to tap into them. For some of you, this might mean artistic pursuits, but for others, this is about creative problem solving, about finding innovative solutions to challenges by thinking outside the conventional boundaries. The sixth card is the Hermit and Virgo. This card has such special significance for you because the Hermit is actually associated with your sign in traditional astrology. This card appearing in your reading tells me that a period of introspection and inner work is either happening now or coming soon. And this is not isolation for its own sake. This is purposeful solitude, time spent in self-reflection and spiritual seeking, because you understand that some answers can only be found in the quiet spaces within yourself. The Hermit speaks to me about wisdom and guidance. And here is what is beautiful. You are becoming the wise one. You are becoming the person others seek out for advice, for perspective, for grounded wisdom. The Hermit suggests you have accumulated significant life experience and understanding. And now you are reaching a point where you can illuminate the path for others while continuing to walk your own path with integrity and awareness. What I find particularly powerful about the Hermit in your reading is the message about taking time to integrate everything you have been learning and experiencing. Sometimes we move so fast from one thing to the next that we never process what happened, never extract the lessons, never allow the experiences to transform us. The Hermit is saying you need and deserve this integration time. It is not laziness or avoidance. It is essential spiritual work. The Hermit is also telling me about your relationship with solitude. For Virgo, being alone is often where you do your best thinking, where you recharge, where you connect with yourself most authentically. This card validates that need and suggests that protecting your alone time is crucial right now. You might need to set boundaries with people who do not understand why you need space. But the Hermit encourages you to honor your needs regardless of others' opinions. There is also this element of seeking truth with the Hermit that resonates strongly for your energy. You are not interested in superficial answers or comfortable lies. You want to understand things deeply, to get to the root of matters, to see reality as it actually is rather than as you wish it would be. The Hermit says this commitment to truth is one of your greatest strengths, and it is guiding you toward genuine wisdom rather than mere knowledge. The seventh card is the Four of Pentacles, and this card brings up some interesting energy around security and control. The Four of Pentacles is about holding on to what you have, about being careful with your resources, about wanting to feel safe and stable. On one level, this makes perfect sense given everything else in your reading about building prosperity and stability. But the Four of Pentacles is also asking you to examine whether you might be holding on too tightly to something, whether fear might be causing you to contract when expansion would serve you better. This card is speaking to me about your relationship with material security. Virgo, you are practical by nature, and there is nothing wrong with wanting to feel financially stable and secure. The Four of Pentacles validates this need. But this card also asks whether you might be letting fear of loss prevent you from taking necessary risks or making investments that could actually increase your prosperity. There is a balance here between wise conservation and fearful hoarding. And this card is inviting you to check in with yourself about which side of that line you are on. The Four of Pentacles is also telling me about control issues. You might be someone who likes to maintain control over your environment, your schedule, your resources. And again, there is nothing inherently wrong with this. But this card suggests there might be areas where you are trying to control things that cannot or should not be controlled. And this is creating tension or limitation in your life. The Four of Pentacles asks you to consider where you might need to relax your grip and allow things to flow more naturally. What I find interesting about the Four of Pentacles in your reading is how it relates to generosity and exchange. This card can sometimes indicate someone who is blocked in their ability to give or receive freely. It is asking you to examine whether you are allowing yourself to participate fully in the natural flow of resources, energy, and support. True security does not come from holding everything close. It comes from trusting that you live in an abundant universe where giving and receiving can happen in healthy, sustainable ways. The Four of Pentacles is also speaking to me about self-worth and your sense of value. Sometimes when we hold tightly to material things, it is actually because we are not feeling secure in our intrinsic worth as human beings. This card invites you to explore whether you might be trying to prove your value through what you have rather than resting in the knowing of who you are. Your worth is inherent, Virgo, not something you have to earn or defend or demonstrate through accumulation. The eighth card is the Two of Swords, and this card is showing me a decision point, a moment where you are standing at a crossroads and feeling unclear about which direction to take. The Two of Swords often depicts someone blindfolded, holding two swords crossed in front of their heart, and this imagery is so rich with meaning. This card suggests you might be in a situation where you are trying to avoid making a choice, where you are stuck in indecision, where you are perhaps avoiding something you know you need to face. The Two of Swords speaks to me about mental stalemate and the paralysis that can come from overthinking. Virgo, with your analytical mind, you can sometimes get caught in loops of trying to think your way to the perfect decision, weighing every pro and con until you are frozen in place. This card is saying that clarity is not going to come from more thinking. It is going to come from removing the blindfold, from being willing to see the truth even if it is uncomfortable, from making a choice even if you cannot guarantee the outcome. What I find particularly relevant about the Two of Swords in your reading is the message about emotional avoidance. Those crossed swords are protecting the heart, suggesting you might be using mental activity and logical analysis as a way to avoid feeling something you need to feel. This card invites you to drop from your head into your heart, to ask yourself what you actually feel about the situation beyond what you think you should do. Your emotions have intelligence too, and the Two of Swords suggests you need to integrate that emotional wisdom into your decision-making process. The Two of Swords is also telling me about the need for balance between opposing forces or perspectives. Maybe you are seeing valid points on both sides of a situation, and this is making it hard to choose. This card acknowledges that complexity while still insisting that at some point, you have to make a move. Staying balanced on the fence indefinitely is not actually neutral. It is a choice in itself, often a choice to avoid growth or change. There is also this message about truce and peace with the Two of Swords. Sometimes we are not ready to make a big decision, and this card can represent a temporary pause, a moment of gathering your resources before you act. If that is where you are, the Two of Swords validates this timing. But if you have been in pause mode for too long, if you are using this as avoidance rather than preparation, then this card is gently pushing you to remove that blindfold and see what you have been afraid to see. The ninth card is the King of Wands. And Virgo, this energy is powerful and dynamic. The King of Wands is about leadership, vision, charisma, and the ability to inspire others through your passion and confidence. This card appearing in your reading suggests you are stepping into or being called to step into a leadership role. And this might feel unusual for you because Virgo energy is often more comfortable supporting behind the scenes than being front and center. But the King of Wands says it is time to own your authority and influence. This card is speaking to me about entrepreneurial energy and creative vision. The King of Wands is someone who sees possibilities and has the courage and energy to pursue them. For you, this might mean starting a business, launching a project, or taking on a role where you get to implement your ideas in a significant way. The King of Wands is telling me you have more leadership capability than you might give yourself credit for, and circumstances are aligning to show you this aspect of yourself. What I find exciting about the King of Wands in your reading is the message about confidence and self. This king knows who he is and what he brings to the table, and he is not apologetic about it. For Virgo, who can sometimes struggle with perfectionism and self-criticism, this card is teaching you to embrace your strengths fully, to present yourself boldly, to trust in your abilities without constantly second-guessing yourself. The King of Wands is asking you to step into your power unapologetically. The King of Wands is also telling me about passion and enthusiasm. This card suggests you are connecting or about to connect with something that really lights you up, that makes you feel alive and energized. When you find that thing, the King of Wands energy helps you pursue it with sustained commitment and infectious enthusiasm. People are going to be drawn to your energy when you are in this mode, and your passion is going to open doors that logic alone never could. There is also this element of taking bold action with the King of Wands. This king does not overthink or hesitate when he sees an opportunity. He trusts his instincts and moves forward with confidence. For you, Virgo, this is about learning to balance your natural caution and analysis with the ability to act decisively when the moment calls for it. The King of Wands is teaching you that sometimes you have to leap before you can see the entire staircase, trusting that your competence and resourcefulness will carry you through. The 10th and final card is the Page of Swords, and this card brings such interesting energy to close out your reading. The Page of Swords is about curiosity, new ideas, communication, and intellectual pursuit. This page is eager to learn, quick-witted, and always asking questions. For you, Virgo, this card suggests a phase of mental stimulation and discovery is coming, where you are going to be exposed to new information, new perspectives, new ways of thinking that challenge and expand your understanding. The Page of Swords speaks to me about the importance of staying curious and open-minded. You have accumulated a lot of wisdom and experience, as evidenced by cards like the Hermit in your reading. But the Page of Swords reminds you that you never stop being a student. There is always more to learn, always new angles to consider, always room for your thinking to evolve. This card encourages you to approach life with that beginner's mind, that willingness to be surprised and to update your beliefs based on new evidence. What I find particularly relevant about the Page of Swords for you is the message about communication and speaking your truth. This page is not afraid to ask difficult questions or voice unpopular opinions. For Virgo, who sometimes holds back from speaking up to avoid conflict or criticism, this card is encouraging you to use your voice more boldly. Your thoughts and observations have value, and the Page of Swords suggests there are people who need to hear what you have to say. The Page of Swords is also telling me about vigilance and staying alert to what is happening around you. This page pays attention, notices details, sees through deception. Your natural Virgo observation skills are being activated and heightened. Trust your ability to read situations and people accurately. If something does not add up, if someone's words do not match their actions, your Page of Swords energy is picking up on that, for good reason. There is also this element of youthful energy and fresh starts with the Page of Swords. Even if you are older chronologically, this card suggests you are accessing a kind of mental renewal, a freshness of perspective that makes you feel young and alive in your thinking. This might manifest as trying new things, exploring unfamiliar subjects, or approaching old problems from completely new angles. The Page of Swords is all about intellectual adventure and the excitement of discovery. So Virgo, let me bring all of this together for you because the story these 10 cards are telling is absolutely remarkable. You are standing at this incredible threshold where everything you have been building, all the work you have been doing, all the growth you have been experiencing, is about to crystallize into something tangible and real. The Nine of Pentacles opened this reading by showing you the prosperity and self-sufficiency you have cultivated. And then the Four of Wands came in to say, you get to celebrate these achievements and enjoy the stability you have created. But then the reading got really intense with Judgment, telling you there is a calling coming, something you cannot ignore, a moment of awakening that is going to show you your next level purpose. And the Chariot followed that up by giving you the energy and determination to actually pursue that calling with unstoppable focus. The Moon reminded you to trust your intuition as you navigate the unknown aspects of this journey, while the Hermit validated your need for introspection and wisdom seeking along the way. The Four of Pentacles came in to check whether you might be holding on to security too tightly, whether fear might be limiting your ability to flow with the opportunities coming your way. The Two of Swords acknowledged that you have some decisions to make, some choices that cannot be avoided much longer, and it is encouraging you to remove the blindfold and see clearly what needs to be done. Then the King of Wands showed up to remind you that you have leadership capabilities and creative vision that the world needs to see, that it is time to step into your authority. And finally, the Page of Swords closed everything out by emphasizing the importance of staying curious, communicating clearly, and approaching your new chapter with mental alertness and intellectual enthusiasm. This is not the end of your journey. It is really just the beginning of something much bigger. The title that came to me as I was working through these cards is that important call that Judgment kept emphasizing. You are not just moving into a good phase, Virgo. You are being summoned to something significant. The universe has been preparing you, testing you, teaching you, and now it is time to answer that call and step into the fullness of who you are meant to be. I hope this reading resonated with you and gave you some clarity about where you are and where you are heading. The energy around you right now is powerful, and I am genuinely excited to see how all of this unfolds for you.